you click on File. From File, you get a what? Preference or Preferences. When you get to Preferences, this page or this tab would appear. Then go to Miscellaneous, right? Down here. Inside there, you see File Downloads, you see User Interface. So when you click on User Interface, you see all these other options. Also, you will see Theme here now, right? So Theme Light is the white one. So if I want it to be dark like this, I can make it dark. All I need to do is just to click on Save, right? Once I click on Save, you see it's now dark, right? Someone like me, I prefer it dark, basically, instead of having it white, okay? However, if you now want it to be, let's say, darker, high contrast, click on this, it becomes this black. Depending on whatever you want. If you want it to be white, as it was, you can do that. Which one do you guys want us to use?
The white one.
The white one?
Yes, this one is kind of blurry.
Is it?
Maybe it's because I'm using my phone.
The white one is even small. This one is, yeah, I think the white one is better.
Let me see.
Then even the white ones too, please. Is there a way you can zoom it to be larger? I don't know. I didn't say well. I'm not saying well.
Okay. I'll see.
Fonts are very.
Let's see. Let me just type a query and let's see if it's still the same. Select all from. What's the name of our table again?
Abby.
Abby what?
Abby cost.
This is schema. So let's see. Inside Abby cost. Is there a table?
Inventory.
I don't think there's
a table. Inventory.
Inventory, right? Okay. Let's see. Okay, yeah. So we have inventory, yes. Select all from the schema name is Abby underscore dot inventory, right? Am I right? Then I fetch it here. Click fetch. So do you guys think it's not good? We should make it white?
Yes, I can see.
Okay, so let's change it back to white then. So remember, if you want to change yours, just click on File.
White is better.
Preferences. Look for Miscellaneous, User Interface, and then you go to what? Choose Light. Choose Light, just go and save it up here. Comes back to white. So this is better, right? Let me see how we can expand it. Display.
I feel like that screen is better.
I feel it's better, but I mean, let's go with majority.
We can't see that screen,
Even the white screen, so I can't see anything.
Okay, just don't worry. Let's see. We got it out for you. So go to Preferences, right? Then from Preferences, we go to Query Tools, okay. Options. Font. Let's see, font. Okay, font size, let's make it 1 point. This might just be too much. Is this better?
Yeah.
Let me save this. This might just be too much. Is this better?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Abby, is it better?
Yes. Yes, it is. Thank you.
Okay, so let's manage it that way. All right, so constraints. Who can tell me what the English word, the English meaning of constraint? Who can tell us what does it mean? Someone should tell us. When you hear the word constraint, what comes to mind?
Like a rule that
Yes, go ahead. Who is speaking? Go ahead.
Like a problem or restriction.
Yeah, like when something limits you.
Okay.
like setting a rule to something.
Good. So constraints, let me type it here so you can see. Constraints are rules. Capital letter. They are what? Rules.
Rules.
To tables, yes. So the rules you apply to your table when you are creating them, right? For instance, you want a system, for instance, this table we're looking at down here, you don't want rice to appear twice in this table. You set a what? Constraint, a unique constraint to it, which implies that once rice has been entered here, it will not have a duplicate record for rice. Okay? If you say, for instance, I don't want this amount, this quantity, I don't want it to be above a certain number. Let's say I don't want it to be above 500. I can set a rule to say, please don't let this thing happen. Don't let it be above 500. So constraints are simply rules that you apply to your table, right? To maintain the data integrity and accuracy. Am I making sense?
Yes, sir.
Who answered?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
No, better.
Better, okay. Abby, did I make sense?
Yes, yes.
Good, good, fantastic. So constraints are what? They are rules that you apply to your table columns. For instance, look at this product name, and we don't want rice to appear twice, because if it appears twice, I mean, this particular table is not even, it doesn't have a good integrity, because you have rice here, 100, you have rice here again. So if you're going to have just this particular rice, you can increase the number. Instead of having rice in these 3 columns, rather 3 rows, we can have 1 rice here and have 300 instead. So for us to mitigate or not allow this to happen, or allow system to enter the same product multiple times, right? We put what? We put constraints. And we say that constraints are what? They're rules that you apply to your table to maintain what? Data integrity and accuracy. Let me put it up there for those of you who want to copy it. They are what? They are rules applied to table, or you call it table columns, right? But I say tables to maintain data integrity and accuracy. Data integrity in the sense that we cannot come and say, okay, because if I do a select all from this table where product name is rice, this will give me these 3 records when I'm expecting 1 record. Okay, so constraints help you to do what? To maintain some sort of rules and say, you know what, at this point, please don't allow these duplicate records to happen. At that point, don't allow this amount, this size of data in this table. We don't want this particular thing. So in simple term, for you guys to all understand it, constraints are just rules that you put on your table to say, I want this, I don't want that. Does it make sense, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Abby, does it make sense?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, good. Now, the next question you ask yourself is, what are the types of constraints we have? Types of constraints we have. There are so many types of constraints as long as SQL is concerned, as long as we're talking about SQLs, there are so many types of constraints. We have the primary key constraint, primary key constraints. We have the unique constraints. We have the foreign key constraints. Foreign key. Let me see, put it down here for you guys. Foreign key. If you know that you're in this class, but you were not in the last class, can I see your hand up, please?
Yes, I didn't get the third.
If you know you're in this class now and you're not in the
You
last class,
mentioned the third constraint.
Sir, I was in the last class, but I didn't come back after break.
okay. Okay. I hope you watched the videos, right? Did you watch the video?
Yes, I did.
Okay, good. Okay, so that we don't lose anybody in class. All right. So I said the types of constraints, Abe, is that we have primary constraint, primary key constraints. We have unique constraints. We have the foreign key constraints. We also have the I'm trying to get the we have the not null constraint. Remember we talked about not null in our class and null. Abe, do you remember this? When you say that I want, if you create a table and you put not null, you are telling the system that I don't want this particular column to be empty at all. So if, like making it mandatory, remember?
Yes, sir.
Abe, do you remember?
Yes, please, yes.
Okay, let's talk about them one after the other. Now, primary key, right? Like I said in the class last class, primary key uniquely identifies each row in a table. It does what? Uniquely identifies each row in a table. What does that mean? Remember that when we created our table, we made product key, primary key, right? Regardless of what we have here now, we have 3 rows that has the same product, the same amount, the same quantity, the same amount, the same selling, the same details, right? Now, what helps us to what identify the particular product we're talking about is the what? The primary key. You can see here PK, right? And we say that primary key are what? They're all unique. You can't have one and have one again here. It's always unique. Primary key is what uniquely identifies each row in a table. So for instance, since this guy has rise here, rise here, rise here. If I want to just identify this one in the middle or any other data or record, I can now use the what? The primary key as my query condition. For instance, select all from Abbey. Let me put this down. From this table, where product ID, which is what we have here, where product ID, product underscore ID equals 2, right? Which is this one. You can see that when I run this query, automatically it will leave every other record out and give me records in this 2 row. Let's see.
Sorry, I'm sorry, sir. Where did you write what you just said now? Because I'm looking at the screen. I didn't see anything like.
What are you looking for? Select all. Select asterisk from Abby, where product ID is 2. Can you see?
Yeah, how did you do this? Yes.
How did I do it?
How did you do this? Select all from where product.
I just typed. See? We'll get to select. I know that it may be confusing a little bit, but I'm still trying to explain the primary key. However, I just typed it. This is what I did. Select query. I typed select. Asterisk. Asterisk is a select all from a table, right? Select all from the table I'm looking for is in this Abbey invent schema. Am I right? So I type Abbey underscore invent, which is my schema. Then I put my dots. What's my table name? I come to table and I'm seeing inventory. Am I right? Then write inventory. If you run this query, it fetches everything in that table, right? But if I just want to fetch that particular one, that the product ID is 2, I'll just do what? I'll add a where clause to say where product underscore ID, which is the name of that column. You can see that down there, where product underscore ID equals 2. Okay? If I run this query now, it will only give me that record that has product ID 2. If I change this and make it 7, let's say 7, it will give me the record on product line 7. If I change this and write 10, it will give me product on product ID 10. Let me see. Syntax error where product equals 10. Oh yeah, so this is so I'm supposed to run it from here. Yes, you see, it gives me what? These records. So what am I trying to say? I'm trying to explain to you, right, that I'm trying to explain that primary key is a constraint, is a rule that we set in our table to say that we don't want these records to be duplicated because we want it to uniquely identify whatever we are looking for in our table. In this class, I believe that there are 2 Michaels in this class. Okay, there's Martin.
There's
Michael.
Martin.
There's Martin, there's Michael, there's Mitchell. I don't know if Mitchell is here. Okay, so imagine that we have the same, let's say we have first name, we have Victor in 2 places here. One is Victor Madu, the other one is Victor Okereke, right? The other one is Victor something else, right? If I want to uniquely identify the particular Victor I'm looking for, what do I use? I use the primary key to identify the Victor because their IDs will be different, which is why when we create a table, we usually don't allow users to enter this column. Remember when we created it, we used serial, right? The serial helps you to what? Auto-update what? This column. So since we have 1 here, automatically any record that comes into this table will never be 1 again. It will go to 2 and 3 and so forth and so on, right? Guys, are we together?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Abi, do you understand what the primary key is now?
Yes.
Natasha, do you understand what the primary key is? Natasha, are you there? If you know you don't understand what the primary key is right now, can you raise your hand? Let's see. Martins. Okay.
Yes,
Ask
sir.
your question.
Yes,
Yes.
sir. I just want you to. I think I understand what it defines, sir, but I just want you to just illustrate it again.
Okay. Primary key, right, is a unique identifier, right? It's a unique identifier for your table. And we'll say constraints are what? They are rules. Rules that you place in your table or you put in your table, or let's say you are in Nigeria, for instance. There are rules in Nigeria there are things you can do in Nigeria, and there are things you may not do in Nigeria, but you can do in other countries. Right?
Yes, sir.
So there are different rules. Now, in this context of primary key can never be what? Duplicate. Because it's what uniquely identifies a record. Like the instance we gave in this table, these two records are the same. In fact, these three records are the same, right?
Yes, sir.
Imagine that we have primary key 1 here, product ID 1 here, 1 here again. What do you think will happen? If I run a select query, system will automatically tell me what? That there's an error, because it will say it expects, or rather, if I have 1, it will print these 3 for me. If I put 1 here and put 1 here, system will print the 3 records for me. And if I'm using it for my application, system will throw error because it's expecting 1 record. Let me not go deep so that you guys don't, get confused. But my point is this. Primary key is what uniquely identifies. We can have multiple record. We can have, Martins, can you pronounce your last name?
Otoikile.
Oh, are you Delta?
I'm Edo.
Edo, okay. So imagine that is it possible that we have someone that answers your name and Martin's exact surname and first name? Is it possible?
Is that surname and first? No.
Do you think it's not possible? Why do you think so?
Well,
Okay, if you have anybody here in this class now that has, guys, I'm asking everyone now, if you know it's possible for your name, for someone to have your first name and last name, can I see your hand up?
So it's possible.
Yes. Now, let's assume that we have,
Like in my office, we have, in my organization, we have lot of Abdullah Muhammad, especially all these northern names.
Yes.
Abdullah Muhammad, that is always giving a problem.
Yes. Now, in that case, that's a very clear example. If you imagine that we have Abdullah Muhammad, what will uniquely identify them will be their ID number.
ID number, right?
And that ID number, you cannot have two one ID number for 2 staff or for 2 people. It has to be unique. Your ID number must be unique to you. Right? So if we're building a database for that kind of firm, our ID number will be the primary key, because that is what uniquely identifies the person. So if I'm looking for, maybe let's say we have Abdullah Muhammad, the dark one, and Abdullah Muhammad, the fair one. So if we are looking for the fair one, right, we'll use his ID number to find him, because the record here says that he's, and in fact, if you're not careful, you might have the same age. You might have the same people in the same age or age bracket. So if you're trying to look for what to use to identify that particular person you're talking about, then you use the what? The primary key. The primary key in that context will then be the what? The ID number. In every company, you have your ID card, you must have your ID number, right? So if you're building a database for that company, what you now use as your primary key, because we know that primary key is what uniquely identifies each row or each person, each customer, each staff, right? We make our primary key the ID number because it's unique. You cannot have it duplicated. You cannot have ID number 123 and have it for me and for some other person. Does it make sense, Martins?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It makes sense now.
Okay, great. Any other questions for primary key so that we can move to the next one? Now, I believe that we created this when we created our table. Let me just show that query here again. You can see, you remember when we created this table, a table like this? We said our student ID, we made it serial. Serial is so that it will do what? Auto increment. It will go in serial, right? Then we called it primary key. This is how you create a primary key in a table. This is how you create a primary key in a table. That's all. Once you put your column name, you put your data type, this is the rule. You set this rule, right? Automatically, this rule also sets, you know that in that class, as it is now, if I create this table, I can decide not to put name and system will still allow it to apply. Who can tell me why? In this condition now, in this table, if I create this table like this, and I decide not to put the name in this column, who can tell me why it will allow it to go through? Yes, Prosper.
Because there's not null constraint.
Because there's no rule to say, I don't want it to be empty, or I want it to be empty. There's no rule, right?
Yes, sir.
Good. Do you understand the question, Abe? Do you understand what she answered?
Yes.
Ayo, do you understand?
Yes, I do.
Awesome. Okay. Now, but we all understand what primary key is, and this is how you can create your primary key. If you want to make a system, if you want to make a column a primary key, all you need to do is what? Once you enter the column name, enter the data type. Data type can be integer. It can be anything, right? If you put integer, it means that system would allow you to enter the number yourself. However, you cannot enter multiple one, or you cannot enter duplicate record in that particular column. So once you make it a primary key, automatically system makes the mandatory field and makes it what? A unique field, such that you cannot have multiple records in there. Let me not distract you so that we don't get distracted. So for unique, the next one, which is unique, the unique constraint. Who can tell me, based on what we have discussed so far, who can tell me what you think? You don't have to be correct. Who can tell me what you think the unique constraint will be all about?
It will also carry unique values, something that you don't want someone to duplicate or have like similar information or exactly the same information filled twice.
Okay. For unique, the unique constraint ensures that no duplicate values are allowed in a column. So if I come and say, create table, Let me see that my column. If I come here and say create table staff, right? And I want to create staff ID. Of course, I'm making my staff ID primary key. And I want to make the email, say the email address must be unique. It means that I cannot have abc@gmail.com twice in that column. It cannot happen. Once I try to enter it like this, system will say violation of what? Unique constraint. Right? I cannot have multiple records, especially in this. Yes, please.
I have a question.
Please ask.
So, but primary key, it's also do not allow you to like put in more than one value. So, what's like a difference between unique and primary key?
Now, unique and primary key, the difference is that you can have multiple. They have the same. What's it called now? They can have the same
Characteristics.
attributes. They have the same attributes, right? However, you cannot have multiple primary key in a table, but you can have multiple unique constraints in a table. Does that make sense? You cannot
Okay,
have
like
multiple.
when you are creating your table, you can do staff ID, primary key, email unique, phone number unique, or like that.
Yes. You can't have, but you can't have primary key more than one
More
in a
than
table.
two.
More than one. It can't be more than one, right? But I can make my primary. This is my primary key now, which is unique, which has to be unique. But I can also add a unique constraint in product name. I can add unique constraint in a cost. I can add unique constraint somewhere else, right?
Okay.
That's just it. But primary key is just what makes it what? What uniquely identifies your record. However, the unique constraint does not allow duplicate record in any column where you mentioned it or where you declared it. Let's say I have another. Let me just add another one here. Let's call it a name. Let's call it a staff name. Staff underscore name. Now, you as a data engineer or a developer, SQL developer, would know that people might have the same name, right? So you cannot make email. I can have the same name, but there's no way I'll have the same email. Because even if I want to add, let's say this guy created this email from this company, Hmail. Okay, let's do Gmail, right? If you share the same name with him and you want to create the same email, the system will tell you that this user already exists. Am I right?
Yes.
Yes. So it's not possible to have unique. It's not possible to have the same email from Gmail. However, it's possible to have the same name. I can have a name called Abby Victor, and I have someone in, somewhere else, maybe in Kaduna, who's Abby Victor as well. But there's no way you want to create an email if the first person has already gone to create abbevictor@gmail.com. The second person will not be able to create this same email. So system can just suggest to them that, you know what, this email does not exist, but you can have something like this, abbevictor2. Okay, so unique constraint simply tells you that I don't want, if we already have unique constraint in this table, this thing that happened here system will not allow us to put it in, like this one, right? Because this is duplicate, it's duplicated here. So as a database engineer or database administrator, whatever you are, you should already know that you cannot, or rather know when to use your what? Your unique constraint. You use your unique constraint only when you don't want that record to be duplicated. Now, all these rules that you set in your table, right, helps you to do what? Maintain consistency and accuracy in your table. Anybody who comes and looks at this record here will think that we are not serious in this class. Why? Because they don't understand why I have rice 50 kg, rice 50 kg, rice 50 kg. And they all have the same values, right? So for some of you who will be going right into an interview from here in the class, please note that unique constraint allows you to do what? Or does not allow system to have duplicate records in a table. If it's maintained in the email like this, you cannot have duplicate record of emails in that table. If it's maintained here, you cannot have duplicate staff name wherever it's maintained in that column. Does it make sense, everyone?
So I have a question.
Please ask.
Okay, so I wanted to know, is it possible to like add more than one constraint in a line of code? Like now, if you want to put unique, that unique, now can you also put, oh, I don't want this value to be empty, that is not null?
Yes, you can. Yes. You can have multiple listings. Not null, unique, not null. Right?
Yeah.
Yes, you can have it, yes.
Okay.
Because if you don't have not null in this particular one, it can be empty as long as it's not duplicate. Do you get?
Okay. Yes.
But if it's a mandatory field, if it's a mandatory data that you need, you make it what? Not null and unique. In fact, there are other things that you can.
Thank you.
Yes. Yes. Is it clear?
Yes, it's clear. Thank you, sir.
Yes. Now, the other thing that, in fact, I think you took it out from my mouth. The other one that we have, we're going to be talking about now, is the not null. Let's deal with that immediately before we come to the foreign key. So, not null prevents empty values in a column, just like we said here. If you have a not null constraint in your code, it does what? It prevents empty values. So for instance, when I'm creating let me say I'm creating a banking application database, and I know that BVN is a mandatory field, right? When I'm creating that database, because the person who is developing from front end may not even remember to do what? To make it mandatory from his side. And imagine that the person who created that front end application that you're using, that you're pressing on your phone, maybe the app you have on your phone, he forgot to put mandatory in his code, or rather, he forgot to make it mandatory. Now, you as a database administrator, when you're building a database, you have to put a system that checks it to ensure that if this guy wants to do a transaction and he doesn't enter the BVN from his app, from his mobile app, if he doesn't enter his BVN, system should complain that this guy needs to enter it from the DB. Because there are some lazy developers that will go and build something, and if you don't guard yourself as a database administrator, you will automatically get yourself in trouble. Because if I can go from front end and I'm able to perform transactions that I'm not supposed to perform, which I know that a database administrator should have done to put things in place, imagine trying to do transfer. Let's assume that BVN is required for your what? Or NIN is required for your transaction. Let's even assume that. And the person that built it from front end did not make it mandatory. And I'm able to perform a complete transaction without entering my NIN. The blame might go to the developer, but the major blame would go to database administrator, because you should know when to create mandatory fields. NIN field mandatory. If it's mandatory, you make it what? Not null. Okay? That way, Even if the person who is building the front end fails to catch, or make it mandatory from front end, you at the back end at database level is able to say this field must not be empty. Are we together?
Yes, sir.
Everybody is quiet. How are you guys eating today?
Yes, we are with you.
I think the network is
We are with you, sir.
breaking. I can't.
Yes? Someone should go ahead. Tell me.